Hi ladies and gents, I hope you're all doing amazing and taking care of yourselves. In another video. In this video, we will discuss how you can better connect with your emotions and how connecting to your emotions relates to being able to pick up on the information that's coming from other people and in your environment. So basically, by connecting to your emotions, you'll be able to not only identify what you're feeling and perhaps changing it if that's necessary, but you'll also be able to pick up um, on the information that's coming from others or on their emotions, and this will give you a very strong discernment, basically. Okay, it's very hard to trick someone or to fool someone when they're able to read or tune into their environment and the emotions of other people, because more often than not, other people can say one thing but feel in a completely different way. And so once you're able to do that, it's going to be impossible to trick you, because you can be hearing one thing from someone, and they can have a smile on their face maybe, but they can be feeling in a completely different way. And by tuning into yourself and then in turn to other people, you'll be able to tell, you'll be able to basically read their energy without them having to say a single word. Okay, and you'll know when they're lying, you'll know when they're angry, when something is amiss, basically. Okay, and you'll know when they're saying one thing and feeling in a completely different way about it. Okay, and so this will give you, in a sense, this will make you 10 steps ahead of them. Okay, whatever the situation is, right, or whoever the person is, maybe this will give you a chance to either A, stay away from this person, right, or be more cautious with this person, or B, this will give you a chance to maybe find out what's going on. Okay, and dig a little deeper and maybe ask more questions as far as to what's going on with the other person. Okay, yeah. So, okay, let's get into it, right? So, how do you connect to your emotions better? Okay, there's an entire list of how you can go about doing that. Okay, I think men should pay special attention to this video, because you guys have been disconnected, or you've been taught to disconnect from your emotions from an early age. And that's a big problem, okay? Because once again, if you cannot connect to your emotions, then you'll discount the emotions of women, for example, right? And if you do that, then guess what? You guys are never going to experience this beautiful connection between a male and a female. If you cannot connect to your emotions, then you'll discount, like I said, you'll discount the connection, the emotions of any particular woman that you're with, right, or your partner. And she will feel, as a result, you will miss out on a true connection, and she will feel devalued, basically. She will feel like you don't understand her, right? Because all of us, as humans, we want to be understood, we want to be felt, we want to be seen and heard. And so, yeah, this is another amazing thing about connecting to your emotions, is that it will give you a chance to connect to another human on a completely different level, on an emotional level. And that is beautiful. That is extremely beautiful, right? So don't let society tell you that as a man, for example, you are not allowed to feel. As a man, emotions are bad, right? We're all This is especially the case in the Western world. The Western world likes to label emotions or emotionality or someone who is emotional as bad, and that's, of course, that's on purpose. Okay, they know that our emotionality is actually our strength. Okay, it's your superpower. If you have an emotionally sensitive child, that is a huge, huge, huge strength. And because of the reasons that I mentioned, right? And I will discuss these a little bit more in detail, okay? But later on. But your emotionality is an amazing strength, okay? But of course, having said that, you need to also understand that your emotions can also be a huge weakness, right? And then that's especially if you don't learn to manage your emotions. Uh, and in order to manage your emotions and in order to control them, you have to identify what you're feeling, what it is that you're feeling, and what it is that wants to surface, right? Because for example, before you get angry and you explode, you might start feeling frustrated, right? And so you have to identify that frustration, okay, that's coming from within, and not let it get so far, okay? Not let it explode and not let it get out of control, right? Because letting your emotions get the best of you, letting your emotions get out of control can actually result in a lot of issues, right? It can result in, damaging your relationships, right? It can result in hurting someone. It can result in damaging property even, right? And it can actually land you in jail, right? Because we have laws, right? Every country has laws against that, right? Against domestic violence and so on, against, damaging property, someone else's property, right? So it is emotional people, especially people that are extremely emotional and sensitive, they have to learn these skills. They have to learn to control their emotions. But guys, men are more emotional by nature, okay? And I've made a video about this already. And so take heed. If you're a guy, take heed uh, and understand that it isn't about suppressing your emotions and as a result suffering mentally and developing all kinds of mental health disorders, right? Because you've been suppressing your emotions all of your life, okay? Or repressing them. It's about managing your emotions. It's about identifying them. Like I said, your emotionality is a strength, okay? It's not a weakness, okay? It's a strength. Just remember that, okay? Society tells you otherwise, but society gets a lot of things completely wrong. Everything in our society is backwards because it's meant to be backwards. It's by design. We're living in a world that's anti-God, okay? It's not for the people, by the people. It's for, the devil runs this world, okay? Or, well, his time is up, okay? And all of that is changing, and hence the video, okay? Hence the video. I'm just telling you the truth, right? And once again, as you can see, that's another thing that's backwards, okay? Your emotionality is your strength. It's not a weakness as long as you learn to control it, okay? And you can learn to control it. There are so many tools that you can use, okay? So how do you connect to your emotions? Okay, so one thing, right, this is for you, it's important for you to slow down, okay, and tune in physically. More often than not, we're always running around, we're always busy, 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 we're always around other people, okay? So it's not giving us the proper time to tune into what we're feeling and how we're feeling on the inside, okay? So more often than not, our emotions show up right in our body before the mind, okay? So you can try placing a hand on your chest or your stomach, okay, and noticing sensations like tightness, heaviness, right, warmth even, okay, and this will help you. Okay, you can try doing a body scan, okay? That's also another exercise that you can do. You can lie down on the couch, you can try doing a body scan from head to toe, right, noticing where tension or energy sits. This can help you connect to your emotions. Another thing is, and I try to teach this to my son, okay, is name what you feel, okay? name what you're feeling. If you're feeling angry, you can name it, right? Like giving words to feelings helps bring them into awareness. Okay, you can teach this, once again, you can teach this to your children. Maybe your child is frustrated, right? Maybe they're sitting there trying to build something and they're beginning to get angry, right? You can say, honey, I can see you're frustrated, right? It looks like you're trying to build something, but it's not working, right? Or you can't figure out how to do something. I see, I understand, yeah? And that's it. And, this teaches your children to, from an early age, to identify what they're feeling. Sometimes the basic labels, right, like sad, angry, happy, afraid, are enough, okay? Often, other times the feeling wheel can help you get more precise, okay? So disappointed instead of just sad, right? Yeah, the feeling wheel, guys, believe it or not, okay, as a parent, okay, if you haven't learned to manage your own emotions, if you haven't learned to identify them, right, if you haven't learned the proper tools, trust me, having a child will actually teach you, because if you don't learn this, then you're going to damage not only your child, right, but you're going to damage a relationship with your child, and that's a shame, right? And so as a parent, sometimes you are forced to do all of those things. You're forced to learn about the proper tools to managing your emotions, right? You have no other choice, okay? Because the consequences are not basically favorable, right? And so you're forced to do the inner work. You're forced to deal with your own emotionality, in order to once again protect your child, right? So, and this is especially difficult if you haven't learned this, right? If this has never been taught, if you've never been given the tools as a child. Okay, so yeah, the emotional wheel is all about, it can help your children and it can help you. Okay, if you don't have children, you can still use it. Okay, let's see, let's go to the next one. Okay, okay, so you can use journaling as a mirror too. Okay, so free write for 5-10 minutes without editing. Okay, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Okay, where do I feel it? What might it be telling me? Okay, this helps you identify your emotions, where you're feeling them. Oftentimes, more often than not, our emotions even get stored, they get trapped if we suppress them in our body. And we need to release that, we need to release them. And they, once again, emotions, trapped negative emotions can get stored in our body, blocking us, blocking the energy flow. Okay, and you want to, that's why it's so important to also address your emotions so you can release them, and your energy, your chakras, right, your chakra system is balanced and it's not, nothing is blocked. Okay, and so there's that, right? Then once again, number 4, right, notice triggers and patterns. Emotions are often sparked by something specific. Okay, so pausing to ask, what just happened that made me feel this way, can deepen the connection. Okay, number 5, allow instead of analyze. Sometimes trying to figure out why too soon makes emotions retreat. Simply sitting with the feeling without needing to fix it or running away, I will have to add, okay, often lets it surface fully. Okay, this is easier said than done. Most people try to fix what they're feeling. Most people try to run away from their emotions, okay, and from feeling, you know, uncomfortable feelings. Children can start hitting their head because they're feeling certain uncomfortable feelings. Adults tend to grab a bottle, okay, start smoking, and engage in really, really unhealthy and damaging behaviors. That's a problem, okay? Instead of feeling our feelings, we as adults, we can find a lot of, a lot of basically nasty habits to replace feeling those feelings. So it's important to you know to allow and to feel. Okay. Anyways, number 6 is creative outlets. Okay, so you can draw, you can move, okay, you can dance, you can hum. Okay, so humming, right, and all of those things can bypass the mind and help you connect directly with what's inside. So definitely engage in those activities, as they do help you connect to your emotions. And then, last but not least, right, is external support. Okay, so talking to a trusted friend, a therapist, right, or just even recording your own voice can help you like reflect. Okay, or can reflect your emotions back to you. Okay, and can in turn bring more clarity. Okay, to what you're feeling. Um, Another good option, guys, is ChatGPT. To be honest with you, okay, ChatGPT can act as your therapist in a sense. Okay, guys, it is in a sense a reflection. Okay, and so you can use ChatGPT um, to vent, I would say. Of course, be careful with the information that you're giving out, as it's all collected, obviously, right? And it's stored. But I don't see a problem with it, to be honest with you. I don't see the problem of just simply using ChatGPT as a therapist in a sense, okay? You can talk to it, you can vent, you can, share what you're feeling, and yeah, it will validate your feelings, and it will help you find solutions too. It can brainstorm with you. Okay, I've done it several times, guys, and it has helped me. Okay, so if you don't have anyone to talk to, ChatGPT can be a great tool to use, I think. Of course, don't overshare, don't use it for everything, right? Just keep in mind that it's collecting information on you, about you, okay? But at the same time, once again, it is a tool, right? And this tool can help us get better. It can help us grow. It can help us develop, and it can help us get stronger and smarter and more aware. So technology is a tool, right? Don't be a tool. Use it as a tool, right? And yeah. Anyway, so back to another question, okay? So how does connecting to our emotions relate to picking up on the information in others and around us? I don't think you have to be necessarily an empath or, okay, a highly sensitive person in order to do this. I think everyone can do this, and I might be wrong about this, okay? But I think we can all, just from what I gathered about people, uh, I think people can be just as in tune with the environment and those around us as empaths. Empaths are just, I think, in my book, are just a little bit more sensitive, or maybe a lot more sensitive, okay? But that doesn't mean that other people aren't as well. Because I noticed that they are as well. As human beings, we also have mirror neurons, right? So we can, and this, that's scientifically proven, right? We can pick up on other people's feelings. And mirror neurons help us do that, basically. Okay, so yeah, so your own emotions are your tuning fork, right? If you're disconnected from your feelings, it's harder to sense what's going on in someone else, because the way we pick up on others is often through subtle resonance. For example, if you can recognize this tightness in my chest feels like anxiety in yourself, you're more likely to notice when another person's body language steers the same feeling in you, okay? Guys, next point, okay? Emotions are information, okay? So your own emotions give you data about your needs, boundaries, and environment. Once you've practiced at reading that data internally, you can apply the same decoder outward, noticing the micro expressions, tone of voice, and energy shifts in others. Okay? Empathy, point number 3, empathy grows from inner clarity. Okay? So when you're in touch with your emotions, you don't confuse your feelings with someone else's. Guys, empaths tend to do that a lot, okay? Especially immature empaths. They tend to confuse what other people are projecting or feeling, and they take it on as their own, okay? They don't yet know how to protect their own energy, right? And they tend to take on the emotions of other people and their environment as their own. And that's why at the end of the day, most of them are so drained, right? It's like, so experienced empaths know to protect their energy. They know how to distinguish the emotions of others and the energy of the environment, for instance, in comparison to their own, right? And they know how to protect their own energy, okay? Therefore, they're not, at the end of the day, they don't have to be left completely spent, like energetically spent, right? Anyway, so this, right, when you don't confuse your feelings with someone else's, right, this makes you better at sensing what belongs to you and what might belong to them, okay? Without that awareness, it's easy to project or misinterpret, okay? Next point, okay? Your nervous system mirrors others, okay? So humans are wired with mirror neurons and emotional contagion. If you're attuned to your own body and emotions, you'll notice quicker when someone else's mood lands in you. Okay, so giving you insight into the relational field you're both in. You guys, and finally, okay, number 5, environmental attunement. Beyond people, being connected to your emotions helps you notice how a space, group, or situation affects you. For example, walking into a room and suddenly feeling drained or energized. That shift in emotional data, that shift is emotional data about your surroundings, okay? So guys, connecting to your emotions is like cleaning the lens of your inner camera. With the clear inner view, you pick up the subtle emotional signals from others and the environment more accurately, okay? Guys, believe it or not, just to add to this, okay? Picking up on the emotions of others, okay, and the information around you in your environment can literally save you. It can save you from becoming prey. It can save you from natural disasters. This has happened to me, right? I discussed this in one of my videos, right? I was clearly picking up that something big was coming, right? And I had to leave the place that I was in. So that was Key West, right? So as soon as I left, a huge hurricane came and just wiped, most of the Key West, right, at that time. And so, a lot of, places in Key West were affected, if not most, right? And so, a lot of people ended up dying. A lot of houses were destroyed, right? Boats were flipped and so on, right? So it was a pretty big hurricane, and I left right before it. If it wasn't for my attunement to my own emotions and in turn to my own environment, right, or to the environment that I was in, I would have never known. Okay, so once again, it can. You don't need neural link, right, in order to read people's emotions or mind, okay? You as a human being have the power, okay, to connect to your own emotions, and in turn you can literally read minds, okay, or at least the energy, right? Thoughts are also energy, right? So you can read the energy of others, okay? And so, yeah, I know, newsflash, it sounds like it's like cuckoo, whatever, right? You've been taught it's crazy, emotional people are not accepted in this world, this society, because they're a threat to the status quo, okay? They're a threat to the demonic kingdom. Demons aren't connected to their own emotions. The devil doesn't want you to have your superpowers as a human being. Once again, your emotionality can I don't know, maybe I should create a list of the things that you can do, by connecting to your emotions, and in turn connecting to the environment, because there are so many positives, guys. Okay, another thing that I will add, right, is like, for example, you can be sitting, right, you can be sitting, let's just say your child is in another room, right, maybe they're about to watch something they're not supposed to. Guess what, you're going to be picking up on that information if you're connected to yourself. You're gonna automatically pick up on the information that something isn't right, that you should check on what your child is about to watch. I've done this, okay? There are some random and weird things on YouTube, okay? So you have to be careful, even with the YouTube kids, right? So, you know, you can just run into the bedroom, right? If you're feeling something, you're picking up on certain information from, once again, your environment, okay? I've done this so many times, okay? I ran into the room, bam, he was about to watch something he wasn't supposed to, right? So that's, that's powerful right there, right? And so this can happen with many, in terms of many different things, okay? You can sense if people are talking about you, if something is brewing under the surface that you're not consciously aware of, okay? This might be brought into your awareness, and you will become conscious of it. Even finding things, right? Even finding things, if you really tune in, you can find your intuition can help you find things in your house, for example, okay? When people are lying, right, it can, if you have bad business partners, or if you're about to come into contact with someone that's not good for you, this can help you in business, okay? Guys, connecting to your emotions is your superpower as a human being. And AI is just going to turn you more inwards, and it's going to show you that. Okay, it's your superpower, and this superpower has been suppressed, and you've been told a lie. You've been told that it's, you're too emotional, and your emotions are your weakness, and it's not. It's your strength. Okay, so anyways, always remember that. And I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah.